your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, under penalty of law, that the testimony you are about to give is the truth? Say, I do or I don't. Thank you. You can put your hand down now. Mr. Hunter, can you, for the record, press the button and state your name and what you do, or what company do you represent?
My name is Glen Hunter, and for today's proceedings, I'm just representing myself as a concerned citizen.
Thank you.
And somebody of interest, I guess, to those articles of impeachment, a witness.
Thank you. The reason you were subpoenaed is because you were a witness to the incidents relating to Articles 4, 6, and 11. Do you understand what those articles relate to?
Yes, I do.
Okay, at this time, for the benefit of the members, can I ask that you, in your own words, enlighten the members as to what you witnessed. I believe it was during the early morning hours of August 4th at the airport.
Sure. Yeah, it was the early morning hours at the airport. I had received a tip that the Attorney General might be trying to leave the CNMI, and as a concerned citizen, I wanted to witness him being served his subpoena prior. I knew beforehand, because of incidents earlier that evening, that they hadn't been able to give him the subpoena earlier at the hotel, that the hotel they weren't allowed to give him a subpoena. I just wanted to, as a concerned citizen, with my own eyes and having the tip that I was given, see that justice was served and that at least he wasn't allowed to leave the island as I thought he was doing without being subpoenaed. So, acting on that tip, I showed up at the airport in what I thought was going to be early, because I knew when the flight was leaving, it was scheduled to leave out earlier at about 6 in the morning-ish or something like that. So I showed up at the airport at 3 a.m. When I pulled around at the top of the terminal, I saw what appeared to be around 4 police cars on either side in front of the kind of midway between the arrivals and departure area when you're driving around the terminal at the top. 2 on either side, 2 on the rent-a-car side and 2 on the terminal side, with a gray 4Runner between the other 2. At the time, I wasn't alone, and I dropped off my partner Tina. She was there for work duty. When I dropped her off, I was going to go down. I was going to head down and park the car, figuring we were probably going to hunker down for the night, waiting a few hours for the Attorney General to show up. When I saw the police officers' cars there, I had figured in my mind that they were there to serve the subpoena. So I proceeded to go downstairs, no rush, no nothing, dropped Tina off, told her to wait for me at the cafe on the inside, and I would just park the car and come back up. I had a bag of sodas and some pastries. So I went down, drove into the parking lot, parked the vehicle, locked it up, and then parked it on the departure area side as far south as you can in the parking lot. Got up, walked up the hill. I didn't take the ramp, I took the kind of grassy hill. There's a little path through the bushes there, and walked up towards the departure area. And then as I walked up and started walking towards the arrivals area and where the cafe is and everything, I noticed a bit of commotion going on, in that there were officers kind of moving between the far entrance door to the departure area where people go up the ramp. They had all looked to be about 4 police officers that were kind of moving towards the gray vehicle in the middle of 2 other police vehicles, and they were still at quite a distance because I was walking at that time looking for Tina. And it was at that point that I saw the Attorney General and his wife come out of the gray 4Runner, or whatever model it was SUV, and then they started to be whisked through, and as I was walking along the glass doors on the outside towards them while they were walking in, And so our paths basically almost collided, to say the least. And I was wondering all that time, I was thinking in my head, you know, where is Tina, what's going on, that kind of thing. And as I walked around, I see the officers on either side of the Buckinghams escorting him in. I was staring at this whole incident happening before me, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're not giving him the subpoena, they're protecting him in some way, is what I thought in my head. Like, it just didn't look right. I was like, oh my gosh, they had the two of them going through. So in my mind, this is all happening in a flash. So now in retrospect, it's clear to me. But at the time, my mind was trying to comprehend what exactly was going on. And then as I made the turn around the corner, and as they went into the door, the sliding door that faces the arrival section, they had gone in. And as I turned the corner, I looked up and I saw Tina in the distance with two officers in front of her with their backs to me, pushing her towards the arrivals area where people come in from their arrivals. And at that time, my mind totally switched, because it went from what are the Buckinghams doing and what's going on here to what are they doing to my wife at the time, is what I thought in my head. And so I immediately saw there were two cops pushing her back. And so I shouted, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And she was at a distance about from me to where the chairman is sitting right now. And I said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" as the two officers were pushing him, and there was no response. She was kind of in between, and she's a smaller girl, so I could only see the top of her head between the shoulders of the two guys that were pushing her back. And she shouted, and then I shouted out, "Will you please stop harassing my wife?" I knew they were armed officers. I was slightly disturbed, but I knew also I was in a good train of mind that you don't want to aggravate the situation even worse when it comes to that level. You know, 3 in the morning, two people are kind of, in my mind, assaulting my wife. And so I said, "Could you please stop harassing my wife?" Both officers at that point turned around and faced me, which was good. So they turned their attention away from her, which was what I was hoping for. And I said it again. I said, "Would you please stop harassing my wife?" And then the entire group kind of moved forward too, while I moved forward, and we had closed rank, and one of them had told me, "Oh no, we're not harassing your wife." And I said, "Well, what gives you the right to do what you're doing? What are you doing?" Something to that effect. It's been months since then, so I know there's video footage on it, so you can take my video. At that time, my mind, it might even sound, and I'll let you guys know on the video, that I'm more calm than I actually was. I have a thing happens in my mind when I get in a situation that's that causes anxiety or concern. My mind changes and my voice gets more calm rather than getting elevated and upset. It's a reaction I have. But at the time, I'll let you know that I was very concerned for the safety of myself and Tina. And who wouldn't be? I mean, there were at least 4 police officers. There was a police captain there, a Ports police captain. There was a chief. There was the deputy commissioner himself, all present at that time through the skirmish that happened in the video that they had. And so I just like to, one of the things I'd like to give in my testimony is that there was a level of fear when you first, like when my mind determined what was going on. It was appalling to me that what I was witnessing was a grave abuse of power and the use of police to protect the AG while he fled was, to me, appalling, and it was something that I never thought I would ever see in my life. I've heard of the massage gate before that happened, the one I talked about earlier, but to see it happen before your eyes is something completely different. If we had not been there and somebody told me this happened, I would tell them, "No, you're exaggerating the situation. I don't think they escorted him. I don't think they would stop a subpoena. That's crazy. They're all law officers. They're law enforcers. They're supposed to be enforcing the law. If a judge says subpoena that man, and they get that subpoena, their job is to give it to him, not to protect him." So for me, to this date, because nothing has been done, and that's another part of my testimony I would like to give, to my knowledge, other than your impeachment proceedings, I've never received an apology from anyone. I've never, I'll let you know that, and I guess I'll let the public know that complaints were made by me. They've never been followed up on. And so to date, this is still gone. This is what, 2 months ago or something. It's a while ago. Yeah, it's another list of those articles of impeachment that just, as the abuses continue, they just get worse and worse, it seems, as they go unchecked. And so as an impeachment committee, that's something to keep in mind, is that you have 16 articles of impeachment, but just looking at them, they just continue to get progressively worse. And if something isn't done to curb the abuse, I don't know what will happen. But okay. And that's, for the most part, that's my testimony. If you have any direct questions, I can answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I think your testimony is consistent with the media reports that were shown of the events during the August 4th, the early morning hours at the airport. I wanted to ask the members, we did receive from KSPN the video footages that we subpoenaed. Unfortunately, only one copy was made, and so there really was no opportunity for the members to view it over the weekend. And I wanted to maybe ask if the members would like, maybe following the testimony of Mr. Hunter, maybe through lunch, if the members want to have it shown here before we entertain any further witnesses. Is that something the members would like to do, just for your own information? And at least the one relevant to this article or this incident. It only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. So, but with that, I would open up the floor for now to questions from the members. But before I do that, I think Mr. Hunter wanted to say a few words.
Yeah, just one other thing that I forgot to detail in my testimony, and it's something that has come up since that incident. And I'd just like to point out, some may say that maybe the police were there to protect the AG in some way. Maybe his life was threatened or something like that. The video would detail, and I'll just bear testimony, I'm under oath, that I was close enough to the AG and his wife to, if I wanted to inflict any type of physical harm, I could have. I was in a ball cap, an old t-shirt, and old jeans, carrying a large black plastic bag which contained at least 6 sodas and some pastries. So, and I had gotten within feet of him and his wife. While they were pushing Tina many feet away, I was allowed to walk right up to him with ease. So just in case that comes up as any type of defense from anyone as to what occurred that morning, that's something I can provide as direct testimony, that there was no protection from physical assault or protection from any members of the public from approaching him that morning. They were protecting him from certain individuals, not from the general public or somebody like me. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Representative Guerrero.
I'd like to suggest, perhaps, maybe before even Mr. Hunter finishes his testimony, if we could watch the video. I think it's very pertinent to his testimony and verifying the truth of the matter.
Are there any objections to that?
Chair, there's no objection, although I would like to ask a question, a quick question to Mr. Hunter that is really not, I guess, relevant to the video footage that we are going to be viewing. So if I may just ask a quick question.
Okay, I will allow for that, and also since there was no objection immediately after you asked the question, I'm going to ask our staff to go ahead and show that short video relevant to the airport incident. The members who are here can stay in here, and then we will proceed further with the line of questioning. So, Representative Del Cruz, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hunter, good morning and welcome. During your privileged testimony, you had stated that on that night or early morning, the incidents that had occurred, you stated that you had filed a complaint. Is that correct? To authorities?
Since that incident occurred, I went in to file a complaint. Yes.
Yes. After the incident, you did go in to file a complaint. Which authority? Was it DPS that you filed the complaint to?
Would it be possible for me to answer that in a more private setting? I don't know if it's could I raise that as something that we do that's not. I don't want to expose who I've filed complaints with specifically.
I have no objection to that.
But I could give you the information directly, personally. I don't mind giving it to members of the committee. I just don't want to spread public who I filed my complaints with after the incident, because they're ongoing investigations I would hope are going on. I've received no indication that they are.
So with that said, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that we quickly go into executive session so that we may get that private testimony from Mr. Hunter quickly.
May I also state one other thing before we go to the video? The video you received, I don't know what it is. I've seen the raw footage of video that was taken that morning. I know there's cameras at the airport and stuff of that nature. I'd hope that you secure that for additional video for Representative Guerrero's concern. If the video that you have doesn't show what I've said, I'd state for oath, I'll go on oath to say that it's accurate and true, and hope that you subpoena the raw footage from different venues to verify it. But I have personally seen video that shows everything that I've testified.
And Mr. Chair, I believe that the raw video is what the committee had requested from the television cable company. So I hope that is what we're viewing.
We have a motion on the floor. I didn't hear if it was seconded. Representative Sablong, were you going to discuss the motion that was offered? Is that what you'd like to?
Mr. Chair, you know, we've got quite a long list of witnesses that we have scheduled for today, and I think the committee would have the liberty to view the video footages at a different time. I just don't see why we need to view the video footage right now. You know, what we can do is if the committee wants, we can, excusing the witnesses, we can advise them that we can bring them back at a later date if we do have questions in regards to their testimony in relations to the videos. But you know, we mentioned the expediency, and I just don't understand why we need to view the footage right now when we've got a whole list of witnesses out there that we need to get to.
Mr. Chair, this is not a factory that we're going through, just trying to hammer out everybody. I think it's right to show the video footage while the person who was there, the witness who was there, can corroborate the information. That way we basically kill two birds with one stone. We don't have to call him back in again. You know, it all blends together. He cannot. What he's saying, it doesn't register in our heads exactly what is going to happen unless he's there and the video's there and it cooperates together.
I believe Representative Cruz raised his hand.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I think the viewing of such a video is relevant as the questions that we may be asking the other individuals would have some indication of evidence through our line of questioning after viewing the raw footage of the video. But also, again, I have made a motion to quickly get the statement from Mr. Hunter on the authority that has reported to, and I believe that should not take much time for the committee to go quickly into an executive session, turn off video access of this committee meeting, and get the information, and then go back again to the regular plenary meeting that we're on right now.
Okay, I will take all the comments under advisement, and will rule that we will show the video. It is a short clip, I believe, of the incident itself at the airport, so the members can, all the members can view it and perhaps develop their line of questioning or understand the issue further. However, before we, as a staff, prepares the video, there is a motion on the floor, and I wasn't sure if it was seconded. It was seconded. We did have a short discussion on it. I would now like to, before I rule, any further discussions? Representative Guerrero.
Mr. Chairman, the video, it's relevant to his testimony. You know, where we are trying to impugn the highest elected official of the CNMI, and I think if we have his testimony, the video, all of these things would work together. It doesn't behoove us as people who are trying to find the facts by letting it all spread out. While we have everything here, let us look at everything, and let us deliberate over everything, and let us ask the questions as they're happening, because you can see something in the video that may look may have a different look to it than what he is trying to explain. You know?
And Representative Guerrero, I don't know if you heard, I did rule that we are going to view the video.
Oh, okay. I thought you said we weren't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are going to roll the video, but because there was a motion on the floor to allow Mr. Hunter to provide some testimony that he is concerned about his sources, Representative De La Cruz has offered a motion to go into executive session to hear the testimony under executive session. And because our counsel is currently trying to find the right footage, while he does that, can we go ahead and vote and go into executive session so we can hear the testimony? After that, we would view the video per your request, and then move on with the questioning. Is that okay with the members? All right, so there is a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Without further discussion, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll for going into executive session.
Representative De La Cruz?
Yes.
Representative Frederick De Leon Guerrero?
No.
Representative Ogumoro? Representative Sablan?
Good.
Representative Tebete? Representative McGuinness Torres? Representative Ogumoro? Mr. Chairman?
Yes. With the vote. Go ahead, clerk.
Mr. Chairman, 5 members voted yes and 1 member voted no.
Thank you, clerk. And for clarification, counsel, how many votes do we need to go into executive session? 4. So with a vote of 5 yes.
I would like to make a record of my objection to this. I think under OGA it should be open to the public what he has to say.
Under the Open Government Act, and I'd like to say that any investigative committee does have the authority to go into executive session for specific reasons. And one of them is if the testimony that a witness is going to provide gives him reason to fear for his safety or for the that his sources may be compromised, and counsel, you can clarify further what other reasons. But for those reasons, if the committee so feels that going into executive session is justified, that we do have the authority to do so. But because you have raised an objection, but the roll has been called, and counsel, can you just confirm whether the reason that was stated by Mr. Hunter is valid under the Open Government Act as a justification to hold an executive session before I rule?
One of the reasons or justifications for going into executive session is to review and evaluate complaints or charges that are brought against a public official. And I believe that Mr. Hunter was concerned about the charges that he had brought against public officials.
So in conformance with the Open Government Act, a motion was offered and a vote was taken, and the affirmative number of votes has been secured. So with that, I rule that the motion is adopted, and we now go into executive session. And I want to ask the Sergeant at Arms to clear the room so that we can go into executive session. Just a few minutes.